Welcome back to Cracking the Code of Spy Movies, the podcast where we break down the hidden meanings, storytelling secrets, and cinematic details inside the world of espionage movies. Today we're talking about three simple words that may be the most emotionally powerful line in the entire James Bond franchise. It's not a threat, it's not a clever quip, it's not even a villain speech.
Okay, you're going to have to let me guess here. You say it's three words?
Yeah.
If it's the three most important words?
Bond. James Bond.
No,
Okay,
not it, no.
Shaken, not stirred.
No, that's not it either, Tom. I'm sorry, but
Pay attention, 007.
that's a good one. I like that. No, that's not it.
Okay, all right, how about...
She's just dead.
That's a good one, too. No.
Okay,
That
all
would
right.
be a clever quip.
All right,
What?
then how about... Maybe it was a henchman? How about...
Ciao, Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Yeah, we should do a whole episode on that one, too, if you want to.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let me think here.
1 hour later.
We're going to go on, all right? Let me say
Okay,
what the line's going to
so
be.
you're going to tell me what the three words are?
Yeah. It's just three little words that Bond says.
I mean it.
I mean it. And that's the line that changed James Bond forever.
That's from On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, the moment comes in the 1969 movie, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, when James Bond, played, of course, by George Lazenby, asks Tracy di Vincenzo to marry him. Wow.
This is powerful.
All right, that little exchange is terrific. She asks,
You mean it?
and Bond replies,
I mean it.
Today, we're going to explore why that moment changed the Bond series forever and why it reveals more about the character than almost any other line in the franchise.
Yeah, but we would have had fun dissecting Chow and Mickey Mouse, but
Yeah,
okay.
all right,
I see where
all
you're going with this.
Another episode on that one, Tom. Another one. All right. Why is this line so different? Before this moment, Bond had appeared in 5 movies, beginning with Dr. No in 1962 through You Only Live Twice in 1967, starring Sean Connery. Those early movies established the Bond persona that we all know, with a lot of help from the director Terrence Young, starting with Dr. No. James Bond is cool, virtually anytime, anywhere, under any circumstances. Bond stands tall, calm, and cool. Even when trapped or captured, he is calm enough to think through a plan and execute it. Remember, in Dr. No, he escapes Dr. No's cell through the pipes or the ductwork. Nothing stopped Bond. And Bond is detached. Bond was focused on one thing, his mission. Everything else around him was a tool to help him get there or a distraction. And he dismissed the distractions. In relationships, he still knew his goal, the mission. The relationship, unless it helped with the mission, was secondary. Now, we remember Sylvia Trench, who appears in both Dr. No and in From Russia with Love, as James Bond's woman. That was quickly abandoned within From Russia with Love, as he gets entangled, quite literally, with Tanya. So, he's...
Okay, I want to try one of these, okay? Because you're talking about Bond's characteristics. I'd also say James Bond is charming. I mean, he had the looks,
Yeah.
the clothes, the attitude, that wit he has. I mean, he was always charming, although when he needed to be, he could be deadly.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, the way his character is, of what they did with Franz Sanchez, Robert Davi's character,
Yeah,
in
okay.
License to Kill. Because he was charming and deadly as well. He was really the closest mirror image to Bond in the series. In fact, in our interview with Robert Davi, look for that one. It's a really good one.
Yeah,
He says exactly that. So that's a characteristic of Bond as well.
Yeah, that's true. And Bond was also emotionally unavailable or kind of out of the office. When things got close with emotional attachments, Bond kept his distance. In the early movies, we do see a bit of emotion from Bond. For example, when Quarrel is killed on Crab Key, we see Bond walk over to his charred body against his captor's orders, and he laments. You could see it on his face.
Well, and we also saw it with Tilly Masterson, right? When
Yeah,
Oddjob
right.
gets her in Goldfinger,
Yep.
James Bond abandons the fight and he runs over to her. So
Yeah.
he can be emotional when he needs to be.
Yeah, but I think in general, when the emotional curtain rises, Bond bows out, exit stage left. Bond romances women constantly. We know that. But he is never truly romantic. He never really commits.
Well, wait a minute. You've got Vesper, you've got Madeline Swan. I mean, Tracy, who we're going to talk about here in this episode, but he does commit. But then again, as I think about it, it's the Daniel Craig era, so it doesn't count.
Now, technically, Vesper is first, of course, as Casino Royale was the first novel,
That's
but
true.
it was the 21st movie. And Madeline, much later, of course, than what we're talking about here. But in the other 23 movies, his relationships are usually brief and transactional, or, as we said, to help him accomplish a mission.
My dear girl, don't flatter yourself. What I did this evening was for king and country. You don't think it gave me any pleasure, do you?
So even when women fall for him, Bond almost expects it, and he moves on. Sometimes the women he has had a relationship with don't end up doing all that well. Jill Masterson in Goldfinger, or Solange Dimitrios in Casino Royale, or Strawberry Fields in Quantum of Solace.
That was a sad one.
But one way or another, Bond moves on. Yeah.
As you said, the movies weren't released in the same order as the Fleming novels, which is why we got some of this seemingly out of order.
Yeah.
So each can, for the most part, take place anywhere along the Bond timeline because the books and the movies weren't in sync. So yes, you could be out of quote unquote order. But Daniel Craig, he had an arc, which I'm not sure I still understand.
I don't either. Or why he deserved his own arc. It's a Bond arc, for crying out loud, not a Daniel Craig arc or an actor arc. All right. So
let's get on with it.
yeah, when we look at On Her Majesty's Secret Service, it is as a standalone. Though we do get references to Bond having been married before later on, in For Your Eyes Only, the graveyard scene, The Spy Who Loved Me, when Triple X mentions it at the bar.
Many lady friends, but married only once. Wife killed.
All right, you've made your point.
And in License to Kill, after Felix and Della are married, and she throws the garter to Bond, and Bond doesn't look too happy about that.
Is there something wrong?
He was married once, but it was a long time ago.
But here in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, something changes. For the first time in the series, Bond meets someone who truly understands him. And we mean she understands Bond as a person. Remember, she still does not know the details of his work at MI6, but she understands Bond, the person. And that person is, of course, Tracy di Vincenzo, who understands Bond so well.
All right, so you just gave a shout out to Tracy here. There are a couple other shout outs we should do. We should give out some shout outs to our listeners who've recently given us some feedback on our episodes. And we appreciate this so much. And we're just going to limit this to 2 this time. We're going to call out Pietro Rossi, who gave us feedback and liked The Spy in White, our episode on that.
Yeah.
And then Steven Salzman, Harry's son, who gave us feedback on The Spy in Black, who said, your last episode was extraordinary. We appreciate hearing from Steven because he's in the business. And as I mentioned, he's the son of Harry Saltzman, who co-produced the first 9 James Bond movies with Albert Cubby Broccoli.
Yeah, pretty cool. Okay, thank you. Keep it coming.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. All right, so we just called out Tracy. She's played by Diana Rigg, and she immediately stands out from the other James Bond women. Now, Diana Rigg was a fantastic actor at this point. She was well known. She was Emma Peel in the British television spy series, The Avengers. She was a perfect casting to star with this new, inexperienced actor named George Lazenby. They needed to put some talent around him.
Yeah,
And she raised the stakes immediately and gave a very big boost to the movie.
absolutely.
And she did help George Lazenby in many ways. She helped elevate his performance. Lazenby, I believe, later credited her with raising his acting game. Remember, He was really green, and he conned his way into this role.
Yeah, absolutely. Diana Rigg isn't just glamorous, though she certainly is.
Yeah.
She's stunning in so many scenes. She's complex and rebellious. There are many layers to Tracy. Her relationship with her father and family, her demands, her way of living. She was a rebel, but seemingly now without a real cause. She's emotionally damaged. Remember, she had been married to the Italian Count Giulio di Vincenzo, who, according to Draco, wasted a large portion of her money and later died in a car crash, specifically a Maserati, while in the company of one of his mistresses. So, Tracy has a lot of baggage.
Okay, Dan, I'm not sure about this, but I'm going to think that Draco had a little bit to do with the Count's demise.
I never really thought of that, but Draco was well connected, that's for sure, and certainly in Italy. So,
Yeah.
maybe. All right, back to Tracy. She's fearless. From the moment we see Tracy, we know that she fears nothing. When she is walking into the water in the pre-title, we assume she's going to kill herself, and Bond saves her. So she's not afraid of death. She's not afraid of much else. She acts this way throughout the entire movie.
Well, yeah, and I think especially with her interactions with her father, when she's talking to him, it's just like, hey, you may be my dad, but I'm in charge here.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of you.
Yeah. And, Bond has been rescued by women before, certainly in You Only Live Twice, but in other movies too. And here, Tracy rescues Bond as often as he rescues her. She's engaged and 100% engaged when she decides to do something. He saves her at Guincho Beach when she was going to drown herself. He saves her from embarrassment when she loses at the gambling table and has no money.
I regret too, but I don't have any money.
Dame can't pay up.
S'il vous plaît, madame. Venez avec moi. S'il vous plaît, madame.
Forgive me. My mind was elsewhere. Madame has forgotten we agreed to be partners this evening. Please continue.
Merci.
But then she ends up saving James Bond at the ice rink when Bond's trying to get away from Blofeld's henchmen.
James. Darling, you're in trouble. What is it?
There's people after me.
Can I help?
Have you got a car?
Outside.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And then keeping that escapade going in her Mercury Cougar, she evades the pursuing cars with the henchman and Irma Bunt. So she's saving him, he's saving her, everybody's saving everybody.
Yeah, and actually she's a woman of action, and she's rather calm, kind of like Bond. When performing these feats, she's even smiling at times, like when she's driving the Cougar in the getaway. So she's pretty cool.
Well, that looked like that would have been fun.
Yeah. All right.
But Tracy's greatest asset and ability is to really see through James Bond's mask. We know how Bond operates. He has his Bond persona, and there's this body armor around that. And there's an emotional armor. But Tracy somehow sees through all of that.
Yeah, and here's what I think she sees. Tracy recognizes the loneliness underneath all of his charm and persona. This is so different than anything we have seen before. She knows his loneliness, maybe through her own experience, but she sees through him and sees it. This is a revelation to us, the viewers, but also to Bond himself. No one has penetrated or even touched that armor before in the movies thus far. She is beginning to get in. It's a big deal.
Yeah, and for the first time, James Bond doesn't push someone away. He actually goes out of his way to be with her. At Draco's party at the bull ring, for example, when she storms off, Draco tells Bond,
"She likes you, I can see it."
You must give me the name of your oculist.
And then Bond rushes off and meets her down the stairs by the wall of the bull ring. I mean, he went after her.
Yeah. I love that line, too. That's a great one.
Yeah, it is.
But it shows, again, Bond's not seeing it. She sees it. He's not seeing it yet, that she sees through him.
Well, because he hasn't gone to the oculist yet.
Yeah. So instead of pushing her away emotionally, like you said, he lets her in. Tracy is one of the only women Bond respects as an equal. We know that Bond typically treats women as temporary companions. He views Tracy differently. He views her as a partner. This reflects the character written by Ian Fleming, who described Tracy as one woman Bond could actually marry.
Yeah, and I think director Peter Hunt did a great job with the love montage. So when we see Bond and Tracy in a variety of different activities, they're horseback riding, they're walking through those gardens, they're on a beach, they're at a jewelry store, they're being playful in the car. We see them falling for each other. And I think Peter Hunt shot these scenes with softer lighting and longer takes to emphasize intimacy.
Yeah.
And for me, it worked really well.
It did work well, and that's what makes the proposal scene so powerful. Remember, she just drove through the car race to escape the Blofeld's goons. She drove through a snowstorm, and they found this barn to hide in, big enough to get the car in through the double doors, of course. And
Well, how convenient.
yeah, well, it's a barn, and barns are big, Tom. Come on. My wife's cousin actually kept an old Ford Model A in his barn on his Wisconsin farm. So yeah, it could happen. All right. So the storm is outside. It briefly tries to get inside when the double wooden shutter window flutters open and closed, and Bond jumps up to secure it. That was a meaningful moment. Bond locked out the evil for the moment. This reveals to us that something very different is going to happen. Something huge.
Yeah, because we go from the craziness of the chase and the sound of the wind. It's quiet in here.
Yeah.
We don't have explosions. We don't have the goons there. We don't see the storm. There's no gadgets. No villains plotting world domination. The world is locked out. We just get these two people talking, engaging with each other warmly, closely, and seriously.
Yeah, again, the storm, the evil is locked out for the moment.
I think you're analyzing this to obsession.
The dialogue goes back and forth, and it's all believable and good. Bond and Tracy embrace, they are talking, and she asks what was going on out there, meaning she wanted to understand why those people were after Bond, trying to kill him or capture him. And he says,
Her Majesty's Secret Service is still my job.
So we assume she knows that. She concedes that they will just have to go on the way they are. So she's willing again to compromise here. Bond's still got this MI6 thing going. Okay, we'll just have to go on as we are now.
Okay, so I'm not seeing how this is groundbreaking. I mean, how is it so important to the series? What am I missing here, Dan? Because so far it's just been normal Bond stuff, right? He's got the chase and everything, but then we have this quiet scene, which is different. But why is it so important for the series?
Everything that's happened and transpired in this movie before leads to this moment, Tom. This is it. After a few lines are exchanged, Bond says,
I'll have to find something else to do.
All right, what does he mean by that? He's willing to leave MI6. Woo. Wow. Now, we've seen this before, of course, him rogue and thinking about that. But here, he's like willing to do this for this woman, Tracy. So let's look at the proposal scene now.
I love you. I know I'll never find another girl like you. Will you marry me?
You mean it?
I mean it.
Now, this is a big line. Are you sure? She says to him. That was important, right? She says, are you sure? And Bond responds, I love you, and I know I'll never find another girl like you. We just heard him say that. All right, so we just heard Bond say, I'll just have to find something else to do. What does that mean? It means he's willing to leave MI6. Well, we've heard him before say things like that when he's maybe going rogue or whatever. But here he's willing to do this for this woman, Tracy. Now, that's a big line. And when Tracy asks him, are you sure? Bond says, I love you. I know I'll never find another girl like you. This is huge. And then what does Bond say right after that?
So at this point, it's either huge or he's spinning a lot of BS.
We've heard him spin BS before, right?
Right.
But then he hits us with the last line that we heard. And he says, will you marry me? Now.
Okay, I think the BS is
he
over.
Still serious? It sounds serious to me. Will you marry me? He's never done that before.
This never happened to the other fella.
Now, Bond proposes to Tracy, almost casually. And we are, for the first time seeing it, shocked. We're surprised, pleased, because it is a very nice moment between the two of them. But then she asks the big question, the one that matters. Tracy, after looking at James Bond lovingly, she says, do you mean it? Wow. I love the pause right after she says that. Her facial expressions are saying it all. She wants him to mean it.
Yep.
But she has seen some snippets of his life so far, and Tracy knows Bond's reputation. She knows he's the kind of man who might disappear. Yeah. And so
you're saying she's wary.
Yeah. So she's not sure, and she's giving him an out. Do you mean it? It is really a challenge to Bond. She has thrown down the gauntlet.
Well, but why give him an out? I mean, because we know Tracy. She's tough. She's afraid of nothing.
Yeah.
But this, she wants to be sure of this, but why give him the out? Remember her previous decision to marry the Count?
Yeah.
That one didn't work out. And she's still scarred from that. So I guess she is a little hesitant.
That's why this is key. Because of her experience and because she is scarred, she wants to know, do you
really mean this?
Do you really mean this? Really? And what does Bond say? The 3 words this episode is all about. I mean it. Whoa. I'm going to pause and keep quiet for a second here. Suddenly, the audience realizes something shocking. Bond isn't joking. He is not trying to get out of his proposal to her. He says, I mean it. He's serious. We look at this moment as monumental because it is huge.
Okay, I'm still trying to get why this is such a big moment. Yes, I understand he's going to get married. Okay. But maybe he's getting engaged to the daughter of a mob boss and he's an MI6. That could be problematic. But why are those 3 words, I mean it, so important?
The simple 3-word line, I mean it, is important for several reasons. And here's why. First, it humanizes Bond. We haven't seen a whole lot of that so far. We have seen glimpses before, but nothing close to this. He always got out of his trysts before, one way or another. But this romance has turned out differently. I know I will never find another girl like you. Up until this point, Bond is almost mythic. He's like, we can predict what he was going to do before.
Yeah. I mean, he's always been a womanizer, love him and leave him, right? I mean,
yeah.
That's Bond.
Yeah. But saying I mean it shows vulnerability as well. He's not delivering a clever one-liner here, a quip, a double entendre. No.
Yeah, that better not be a quip.
No, he's making a promise, and a big promise. Second, it raises the stakes for the entire story. Remember, the story is far from over, of course. They have escaped the storm temporarily, and the storm here is a symbol of turmoil that is happening now, a brief reprieve, and then a bigger storm may return. This is very good writing and execution here. Excellent. And
yes, because it was not Purvis and Wade.
And once Bond commits emotionally, we, the audience, become invested in the relationship. We, the audience, are in a new geography now that we've not seen before. We don't know this map. So now we are invested deeply into their relationship. I Mean It changed the entire franchise. It rocked the Bond world. And that sets up one of the most shocking endings, of course, in Bond movie history.
Okay, so we get this poignant moment, this critical thing of I mean it, I'm going to change my life for you. And near the end of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, James Bond and Tracy finally do get married. Yeah. And it's a rare, happy moment for James Bond. In fact, it's rare for us to see the main agent in any spy movie get married. Right? Yeah. There are too many things that can go wrong. Look at what happened with Ethan Hunt and his wife in the Mission Impossible series. Yeah,
it's very difficult for sure. And we know that. And even them had said one time that's why they look for orphaned people to become spies or people unmarried and so on because of that very reason. And here this happiness doesn't last that long.
Well, same thing with Ethan Hunt because he had to jettison the marriage because of his job.
Yeah. Didn't they eventually get back together? She was alive and all that stuff.
Well, she was alive, but they didn't get remarried. She married some other guy.
All right. So moments later, they're attacked. Of course, we know this by Ernst Stavro Blofeld and Irma Bunt. Tracy is killed. And suddenly, Bond's earlier promise, I mean it, becomes heartbreaking, poignant, because Bond meant each of those three words. And he loses the one person he truly loved. The scene ends with Bond holding Tracy in the car, quietly telling a police officer,
"It's all right. It's quite all right, really. She's having a rest. We'll be going on soon." There's no hurry, you see. We have all the time in the world.
We have all the time in the world. Man, that was, I think, the saddest ending of any Bond movie. It's one of the most emotional moments ever in any Bond movie. A shocking end, and it all revolved around I mean it. Wow.
Okay, so you said that I mean it changed the entire series. I get how it changed in this movie, but then the Bond series returned kind of to its usual style after this. Yes, her death did leave an impact on Bond, but you don't really see it throughout the movies most of the time. Her loss really becomes part of his emotional backstory. So how do you think it changed the series?
You can see references to it sprinkled throughout the Bond movies, of course. Diamonds Are Forever, 1971. I would say that while not specifically mentioning Tracy's name, Bond's vengeful hunt for Blofeld is motivated by Tracy's death. And had Lazenby done another movie, I think it would have been obvious that that was what was going on. Okay. In The Spy Who Loved Me, again, Triple X mentions it at the bar that, oh yeah, you were married, you're kind of sensitive about all that kind of stuff. We mentioned in For Your Eyes Only, Bond visits Tracy's grave. That's quite impactful. And her tombstone has the date of 1969, the release date, of course, of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And in License to Kill in 1989, after the wedding of Della and Felix, we mentioned when Della throws Bond the Carter, and he looks sad and uninterested. Felix tells Della he was married once, a long time ago. And in The World Is Not Enough, 1999, Electra King asks if he has ever lost a loved one, alluding to his past loss.
Okay, so they dropped this vulnerability of him based on this loss, sprinkling it through the series without it kind of hitting us in the face. Yeah. Right? But in any case, it does show a vulnerability.
And that vulnerability started with one moment, one promise, and one simple line. I mean it. Whew.
Let's finalize what makes this line so powerful. Because it's not clever, it's not flashy, it's actually a very...
Well, it's revealing.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah, it's something we rarely see in James Bond. Sincerity. For just a moment, the world's most famous spy stops performing. He stops being the legend, and he becomes a man in love. And this honesty and sincerity and this tragic end to him truly being free permeates his persona from this point forward. That's how it impacts the rest of his persona throughout the movies and throughout Bond's life. It eats through his heart forever and affects all of his future actions and thoughts. And that's why I Mean It may be the most important 3 words ever spoken by James Bond in a Bond movie.
Got it.
All right. So that's a wrap of the 3 most important words spoken in a Bond movie. This has been Dan.
And Tom.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to subscribe to Cracking the Code of Spy Movies and go give us a review in the app you're listening to right now. We'd appreciate that. All right.
And let us know, what do you think is the most meaningful line in a James Bond movie?
Yeah.
Do we have it nailed here, or is there another one? Is it Ciao Mickey Mouse?
Until next time, we'll keep decoding. Please keep listening. I mean it.
Thanks for spending time with us.